this video, I'll be giving you some information on dot voting. So, have you ever been in a situation where you had to juggle between multiple items and you had to come up with one prioritized item or take a decision on which item to actually choose? Yes, all of us would have been in some situation. It can be either in choosing a particular topic for a workshop, it can be choosing which feature needs to go first, it can be in choosing, which design looks better. So there would have been some time, where we had been in this particular situation. And dot voting is one of the simplest tools that can be used in order to resolve this situation. So that's what I'm going to explain to you in this video. So let's get started. So, what is dot voting? Dot voting is a simple and best tool used for prioritizing and making decisions and arriving at a consensus when presented with many items. So, let's say you have many items and you have to choose between that. So, in that situation, to prioritize and to take a decision on which item needs to be selected, dot voting is one of the efficient tools. So, any of these items can be, prioritized, or it can be put under dot voting in order to be prioritized or to take a decision. So it can be concepts or topics for any workshop or trainings. It can be which feature you want to take up as a priority and develop. It can be which epics you want to start working on. It can be a UX design as to which design looks better, which design is giving customers a better experience. It can be which initiative you want to take up for your next cycle. It can be particular development approaches. It can be someone, it can be a team suggestions, different suggestions put for a particular situation or problem. It can be anything. So based on all this, you can use dot voting and you can prioritize and select an item, as well as coming to a consensus with a group of people where everyone decide on what item should be prioritized. So how to do this dot voting, the dot voting method? So the first one is you need to prepare the decision elements. And what are the decision elements? It's nothing but the items we seen previously. The concepts, features, epics, UX designs, anything. Why you need to prepare this is because this needs to be ready. Okay, let's say you want to decide on which feature needs to be prioritized. Let's say you're having a payment feature, then you're going to have a feature for the user to add items to a cart, then you're going to have a feature to add items to a wish list. So let's say you have these three features and you want to choose which feature needs to be prioritized. So unless you have all those features ready, only then you can use that and people can cast their vote for that particular feature. So always this needs to be ready before the voting session. The next one is these items, usually they are written on sticky notes, as it is very easy and flexible to use. So once you're done with these elements, the next one is to define the voting criteria. Now people just can't come in randomly and then start voting. You have to set up some rules and some criterias for the voting session. So some of them are, the first one is in the order in which members must vote. So usually when you're in a team with juniors and seniors and high level management, usually juniors and the lesser roles, okay, the roles which are more of a junior level, intern level, they might feel whatever the senior management or the leads or seniors they vote for, that is going to be the right one. But sometimes even the juniors and the other interns, they also might come up with some valid points. So you always have to bring everyone. And in order to avoid this particular situation where people, just because a larger group of people or well influenced group of people are going to vote for an item, and in order to avoid these other people voting for that same item, you can set up a particular sequence in which each role needs to vote. So first give the juniors, the place to vote based on whatever reasons they want to vote for. Next, it's the senior level, they come in and start voting. And then you have the last level where you have the senior, the leads and the SMEs, they coming and voting in. By this, everyone get a chance and no one's influenced or biased by the other senior levels votings. The next one is how many votes is assigned to each user. So you need to set up per decision cycle how many votes are going to be assigned for a user. So you can say, for example, 3 votes per member for each decision making round. The next one is define the meaning of each vote. Okay, you need to give the definition of the meaning of each vote. So now sometimes you can use markers or colored dots when voting. So if you're going to use different colored dots, then people need to know what each color means. So in that time, you need to define what each color means. For example, red stands for high, green stands for medium, blue stands for low. So unless people know what each dot means, they will be able to accordingly vote. The next one is the criteria based on which each role should vote by. Now, developers, they would have a different mindset behind which they give a particular vote for an item. Similarly, if you see the senior management, they might have some other intention behind voting for a particular item. Then you have the UX people or anyone. So always, whoever is voting, they have to vote based on what the impact they would be creating. So developers, if let's say they want to, if the decision is being made as to which feature needs to be prioritized, so developers, they would think based on the time that would take to, to implement that feature, the effort that would be taken to implement the feature, the complexity. Whereas the, if you see the customers on the other end, they might see what are, or the clients, they might vote for a feature based upon the demand, based on their need. The UX people, they might vote on a feature based on what type of a value it's going to provide, what type of an experience it's going to provide. So there are different ways in which people will vote for that. Each one should vote based on what personally they are in charge for. A developer cannot vote on behalf of a client. A client cannot be, or a UX cannot vote on behalf of a developer. So this is about defining the voting criteria. So once you have defined it, you can go on and start voting. So voting can be done initially in a physical way also, where you have a Kanban board or you have a wall and you paste all these stickies and then bring the team together and tell them to start voting. Now since we are in moved into, virtual working environments, there are different tools also that enable you to have a voting session virtually and digitally. So you read out the item and allow members to place votes. Give the members sufficient time also to decide and to reason out why they want to cast a vote for a particular item. So after that is completed, then you can discuss the voting outcomes. That is, allow each individual to give the reason behind their vote. Okay, you need to understand why people have voted for that particular item, after which you can analyze and calculate the items with the highest votes. So once that is done, you can conclude or reiterate. Let's say if there is a clear winning item, then you can come to a conclusion or a decision saying that yes, this particular feature can be prioritized because everyone has voted for that particular feature. Now what happens when two items have equal amount of votes? At that time, you can again continue this particular procedure for those two items and tell the people and the members to vote for among those two which item is going to be a priority. So here if you see an example, first let's say you have 6 features and the team has voted for among these 6 features, and you have shortlisted A and D because they had equal amount of votes. Now you would reiterate. Suppose in this first round you had just one, then you would finalize it with the particular item with the highest votes. Since you have a tie and draw over here, you would have a round 2, and in round 2 again you tell you the members to vote for a particular feature, and then you can continue this till you have a single winner or one prioritized item over which it is being decided. So this is about dot voting. It's very efficient when you need to bring many people together. Each one is having their own, ideas as to which should be selected. So in order for everyone to come together and to decide and visually see and understand why a particular item is a priority, this dot voting method is a very very useful method. So I hope you can even implement this in your work environment and in your working processes. And if you found this video helpful and useful, please do give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe, and also do share your feedbacks. Thank you.